So guys, in this next news story that's broke in today, and the mastermind of an armed robbery during which a police officer was shot dead will spend the rest of his life in prison after being jailed for a murder. Piran Ditta Khan, who's 75 years old, fled the UK after PC Sharon Beshenivsky, may she rest in peace, died in Bradford in 2005. He was extradited from Pakistan in April last year and was found guilty of murder following a trial at Leeds Crown Court. He was 57 at the time of the incident, and he was the last of the 7 men to face justice. Today, Friday, he was given a minimum term of 40 years, and the number of days he has spent on custody since his arrest will be deducted from the term. Judge Mr. Justice Hilliard told him, "No sentence I pass can put right what you've done. You will inevitably spend the rest of your life in custody given your age." PC Sharon Beshenivsky, who was a 38-year-old mother of 3, was shot dead after responding to reports of a raid at Universal Express travel agents in Bradford on the 18th of November 2005. Her colleague PC Teresa Milburn was also shot but survived. Khan had actually denied knowing about the robbery plot or that weapons were going to be used, and he claimed an associate had merely offered to get back 12 grand owed to him by the owner of the travel agents. The prosecutor said Khan played a pivotal role in planning the raid and gave instructions to the others. The jury heard he remained in the lookout car during the robbery, but the prosecution said he was as guilty as surely as if he had pulled the trigger himself.
I need to interpret.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Piran Ditta Khan, on the 18th day of November 2005, murdered Police Constable Sharon Beshenivsky.
Have you any reply to that charge? Do you wish to say anything?
I'm not murdering anybody.
Okay, if you just want to go in there for just a scan. Just to let you know.
PC Beshenivsky, who was 38 years old, was a mother of 3 who had been an officer for just 9 months, and she was shot through the heart and died on the pavement. A brave colleague was coughing up blood but managed to report the shooting by activating a personal police radio. Mr. Justice Hilliard told the jury to convict of murder, they must be sure Khan intentionally encouraged and assisted the robbers and attended at least really serious harm or would be caused if necessary in the course of the raid. Robert Smith Casey said Khan's part in the operation was so pivotal that he is guilty of murder. Universal Express was used by local people to transfer funds to relatives in Pakistan by paying in cash. As a customer who had used it for this purpose, Khan was aware that substantial quantities of cash were held there, the court heard. He knew about the security within the building and that firearms would be needed to threaten staff. Khan was also aware that customers could only enter inside through a lobby that was locked. Staff checked out people in the lobby before unlocking the door, the court heard. On the day of the raid, 2 of the robbers were dressed in suits and the 3rd in a white shirt and jacket. Their loaded guns were inside a computer bag, along with a large knife and cable ties to tie up staff. They were dressed to look respectable, so they would be allowed inside. Khan also planned the raid, making a scouting trip 5 days earlier on a quiet Sunday when the business was closed. The group had a safe house in Leeds where they gathered before the raid, and it was at this safe house that a witness heard Khan being asked about the amount of cash they could expect to get in the planned robbery. The court heard he told the group a minimum of £50,000 and a maximum of £100,000, and the 2 police officers were sent there after a member of staff triggered a silence alarm during the raid. They were close to the door when the 3 robbers came out, and the prosecution said Shah was the Asian man who shot PC Beshenivsky and then PC Milburn, who was 37 at the time. She said in a statement, "I felt immense pain and I knew I'd been shot straight away. The force of the second shot spun me around. The force was unbelievable. I could not imagine how strong it was." PC Milburn managed to radio for help and gave a description of the man to her colleagues as she was on the pavement coughing up blood. She said, "I was in extreme pain. I was spitting blood. I thought, stay awake. My body was shaking. I felt like I'm going to sleep and giving in." She said PC Beshenivsky didn't stand a chance. The murder mastermind behind the robbery where PC Sharon Beshenivsky was killed is now the final member of the criminal gang to be brought to justice after he escaped justice for nearly 2 decades. So Khan had actually travelled to Pakistan 2 months after the robbery and evaded arrest until he was detained by Pakistani authorities in 2020 and extradited to the UK. The prosecutors say that although Khan was not one of the 3 men who carried out the robbery and did not leave the safety of the Mercedes SLK that was allegedly behind, used as a lookout car, he is guilty of PC Beshenivsky's murder due to his pivotal role in planning the raid and knowing that the loaded weapons were to be used. So the others that were convicted for the murder were Muzakkar Shah, who was jailed for life in 2006 with a minimum of 35 years after admitting PC Beshenivsky's murder, robbery and firearms offences. He led the trio of armed robbers but denied firing the fatal shot. Police have always believed that he was the Asian man described by PC Teresa Milburn as one who shot both officers. Shah, who was a married father from London, was on police bail on suspicion of firearms offences at the time of the raid. He was described as extremely dangerous and part of a notorious London gang called Thug Fam. Shah had previous convictions for robbery and having a handgun containing live ammunition in a public place. Another man who was sentenced at the same time was Yusuf Jama. He was given a 35-year minimum term for murdering PC Beshenivsky. He also had connections with Thug Fam and had the same distinctive 5-star tattoo as Shah and other members. He claimed in court to have shot PC Beshenivsky but insisted it was an accident. Jama, who had previous convictions for violence and dishonesty, was caught a week after the murder when he and 9 alleged informants in a word beginning with R in Birmingham, for which he was later convicted. Mustaf Jama was Yusuf's brother and the 3rd armed robber on the raid. In 2009, he was given the same sentence as the other 2 for the police officer's murder. Was Yusuf's brother and the 3rd armed robber on the raid. He was given the same sentence as the other 2 for the police officer's murder. Jama, who came to Birmingham as a refugee, could have been deported 6 months before PC Beshenivsky's murder after serving a prison sentence for burglary. He had 21 convictions to his name, including 3 robberies, burglary, affray and carrying a machete. The Home Office deemed it unfair to send him back because he considered one of the most unsafest places. He fled Somalia after the killing and slipped out of Heathrow on a false passport whilst in disguise. But an international operation led to his arrest in Somalia and he was brought home to face justice. There were other members of the gang that were also involved in the murder, but they've now been released from prison. The police chief who led the inquiry into the fatal armed robbery said today that he was relieved to fulfill his promise to PC Sharon Beshenivsky's husband to bring all those involved in justice. Andy Brennan retired from West Yorkshire Police 10 years ago knowing that Piran Ditta Khan was still at large. The former senior detective has attended the trial at Leeds Crown Court and can now rest easy that justice has been done. He said, going back to 2005 on the day it happened, I met Paul Beshenivsky and his family and gave a commitment that we would find everybody involved and we would be brought before the courts. Mr. Brennan, who was the senior investigating officer at the time, said he appeared at the first press conference following PC Beshenivsky's murder with the late Chief Constable Colin Camphorn and gave that same commitment to the public. He said, at the time I knew there were 3 people who had definitely gone inside the premises, but we didn't understand or appreciate the scale and extent of the operation itself. It's only through the investigation process that it came out. So guys, there's a new story coming from the streets of the UK. Once again, if you already haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel and please give this video a little like. It's your boy GZ. Keep it locked, keep it real.